I'm going to invite everyone to begin, even though we're doing mindful looking, by actually closing your eyes. So I invite you to find a comfortable position, a position that feels both calming and comfortable for you. That could be, sitting up, whatever chair you want to be in. You want to be sort of upright, but not too sleepy, not in a position that might make you fall asleep. Some people prefer to put their feet firmly planted on the floor in front of them. You can put your shoulders down. And just try to begin by taking a deep breath in. It doesn't have to be super deep, but just one deep breath in, a calming breath, in through your nose and out through your mouth. And try to be aware, notice your body. Notice anywhere that you might be able to relax your body in any area. It could be around your eyes, around your mouth. It could be your neck or shoulders. Let your shoulders drop from your neck. If you're feeling sort of tense, if you find that you're holding your jaw tightly, try to soften or relax any areas of your face or neck. As you sort of go down your body, you can feel your arms. Notice your arms either making contact with your legs or on whatever surface they might be resting. Could be on your lap or in one of your other hands. Notice your legs making contact with the chair or the seat. And then notice your feet making contact with the floor or your shoes or your socks. And I invite you to take one more deep breath in through your nose, and exhale out your mouth slowly. Now I invite you to, when you're ready, open your eyes and let yourself just take in the image in front of you. You can let your eye wander around this work of art, wherever your eye wants to go first, naturally. There's a lot to sort of take in this image, so don't feel as if you need to look at everything at once. Just let your eyes fall to whatever part of it attracts you or grabs your attention. And we expect in this mindfulness, practicing of mindfulness, that your mind will wander. The idea is you don't need to analyze this work of art. You don't need to feel that you need to be having any particular thoughts. The idea is just to be aware. Mindfulness is just about present moment awareness. So we are using this work of art to sort of practice awareness right now of this moment. There are 38 of us together looking at this work of art right now. So what is it that you're aware of right now? If you find that your mind has drifted off into thoughts about something other than this work of art or where this work of art leads you to think, then that is totally normal and expected. just try not to be harsh on yourself and just notice, oh, my attention has gone someplace else, and just try to gently bring yourself back to the work of art. And if you find yourself getting lost and that your mind is not able to focus, you can use your breath to re-anchor, re-ground yourself. So you can take another deep breath in whenever you feel that you need to. So I invite you to now take a look at this work of art from sort of left to right. So find a place in the left panel. It could be a line, a horizontal line, or it could be a vertical line, or it could be an organic line. A place to start, and slowly follow that line across all the way to the right of the image. Not be a direct connecting line, but wherever that line leads you, from one panel, from the left panel to the middle panel to the right panel. Just very slowly let your eye explore this image. And when you get all the way to the right-hand panel, you can just work your way back from right to left by following it where the line leads you again. Now I invite you to choose a pattern in this work of art, which there are many. Doesn't matter, again, which one, it's completely up to you. Could be the pattern on the floor, or the pattern on one of the outfits, or a pattern on one of the furniture, the curtains. And focus your attention on that pattern. Perhaps there are even multiple patterns within the one that you chose. And colors. And when your mind wanders again, just gently bring your attention back to this work of art. When you've finished with one pattern, you are welcome to move on to a second pattern. And again, if you find it helpful, you can place a gentle hand either on your belly and notice the natural rising and falling of expanding and contracting of your belly as you breathe. You don't need to control your breath. Now I invite you to focus your attention on a color. You can choose whatever color you like. And again, follow that color around the work of art, almost as if you were the artist filling in that color or applying that color. How many places does that color exist in this work that you chose? Now I invite you to take another deep breath in through your nose. And as you exhale, slowly out your mouth, just let your eye again wander around this image. Try to find a place that you really haven't investigated before, maybe someplace new. And now I'm going to invite Hope to lead you through the next guided exercise with this image.
Thank you, Jodi. The first thing I invite everybody to do is to notice your body, your chair, where you're seated. How are you seated? Where are your shoulders? Are they relaxed? Are they up into your ears? Drop your shoulders and put your hand on your belly if you'd like. Take a deep breath in. Hold it for a couple seconds and let your breath out. At the same time, focusing in on this image, but note the breathing. Is it shallow? Is it deep? Mindful looking is mindfulness, and it's about sustained looking. So what I would like to invite everybody to do is to choose one of the 3 panels and place yourself inside that panel. You can choose where to sit. You can be an observer and sit on the periphery, or you could sit next to the harpsichord on the very left panel, on the chair in between the 2 figures in the middle panel, or on the chaise lounge in the 3rd panel. I invite you to choose one of the 3 panels to be in the panel, sit in the panel. And as you relax into your seated position, notice the setting around you, the background. If you're looking at the 3rd panel, there's a series of windows, there's a tree outside. The background of the 2 first and second panel shows a cherry blossom tree. And notice the background, the setting, and then focus in on the figures around you. Notice what they're wearing. Notice their facial expressions. Look closely at the figures. Notice the activity they're engaged in. And just look. Observe their facial expressions. Are they looking at one another? Are they looking at the musical instrument? Are they looking at the note, the musical sheet? The figure in the 3rd panel is one of the figures is playing a violin. Observe their faces and their expressions as they're engaged in this activity, these activities. And if you can, imagine what the sounds would be like if you were sitting there listening to the harpsichord. Are the figures having a conversation with one another in the 2nd panel? And in the 3rd panel, is she singing while the other figure is playing a violin? And if you want, just focus in on what those sounds would be like. Now I invite you to incorporate another sense of smell. If you were in these images, if you were seated there, what would the smells be like? The blossoms on the tree, the flowers in the vase. Maybe there's wind, a slight breeze blowing. And if your mind is wandering, if you're analyzing the images, that's perfectly normal. Bring yourself back to the senses that you're experiencing or you might be experiencing as you're in those images. We all try and analyze, which is absolutely normal. I would like to invite everybody just to be in the image itself. Choose one of those panels. Rest there. Feel the floor beneath you. Feel the piece of furniture. What would that feel like if you were sitting on that chaise lounge or that one chair in the middle, the red chair? And now I invite you to go to a different panel and choose a spot to sit and listen. Imagine what those sounds would be like. Now I invite you to take your eye into the background of the two, either the first or the second panel. Move your eye from the foreground of the first two panels into the background slowly. And notice the diminution of the images from the front to the back. What colors are you experiencing as you move with your eyes through from the front to the back? How many different colors? And if you choose to rest in a certain area in the setting, stay there. Look around. Maybe you choose to go out on one of the branches of the cherry blossom tree and look down. What kind of sounds would you be hearing? The vibrancy of the colors, the conversations, or the music that's coming out of those instruments. I invite you to now check in with your breath, put your hand on your belly. While still observing the image, breathe in. Take in the three panels all at once. Move your eye from left to right slowly. Notice the variations of the colors. Breathe in. Breathe out. Slowly, if your mind is wandering, bring it back. If you need a focal point, you can look at one of the figures, choose a color. This is about observation and looking and being present. Another breath in and let it out. And in and out. And now I invite you to go wherever you want to go, one or all of the panels. Move your eyes around and just luxuriate in the colors. Luxuriate in all the different figures and what they're doing. Notice the expressions, the details. Move your eyes around from one panel to the next, or rest in one panel and just be. Scott, I invite you to chime in.
I'm happily attending to the wonderful guidance that you both have offered. Thank you for asking. I'm immersing in this experience, this wonderful image.
Perfect. To end this session, I invite everyone to lower their gaze, close their eyes. Think about the images that you just looked at. Think about how that might have taken you out of your four walls that we've been looking at for weeks on end, and giving us the opportunity to look at something new and imagine we are in a different place. And take a deep breath in and hold it. And let it out through your mouth. Lower your shoulders, maybe move your neck around, roll your head. Back and forth, get those muscles relaxed. Another breath in. And let it out. When you're ready, open your eyes or lift your gaze. And thank you for being on this journey with us today, observing and observation, mindfulness.
Thank you, Hope and Scott, for that session. I hope that everyone enjoyed looking at this beautiful work of art from the Lowe's permanent collection. We will tell you the artist and the title, but before we do, we want to invite everyone to comment in the chat. This is a time for you to say or ask questions. You can either make a comment about what you noticed you were aware of, either within yourself or about the practice, or if you have any questions about mindfulness or the image or anything you want to ask about how we guided or anything we led you through. Just giving everyone a chance to chat. And everyone can see the chat. Again, if you don't know where the chat feature is in your menu bar, you click, sometimes it's, you have to put more, sometimes it's just there. So I'm seeing some questions about the work of art itself, that is it one piece or three freestanding images? They are three Japanese prints that are meant to be together as one, but the way that they were printed is on three separate sheets of paper, but it is one image altogether.
And Yanin's question or observation of how she loved the middle panel, especially the cherry blossom at the back, and that it was relaxing, is a nice reminder that it's, of course, not the cherry blossom that was relaxing, although that was the object with which it's associated and played a role. But there's something about the paying attention, the resting the mind on an object, especially one that's compelling like the blossom, that establishes in us through that engagement a more relaxed way of being. And so it's a wonderful observation. And the way you phrased it, Yenny, was very profound. That the experience was relaxing and the cherry blossom was an object that you were attending to.
Yes, thank you for that. And I see that people want to know who the artist is, so I will post it while you can still type in your questions and reflections. Again, this is one of our Japanese prints, Toyohara Chikanobu. Thank you for my Japanese pronunciation. This is Singing by the Plum Garden from 1887. It's a woodblock print. That was purchased with the Thea Katzenstein Art Acquisition Endowment Fund in 2011 in preparation for the introspection and awakening Japanese art from the Edo and Meiji period. Back in 2012, I believe that exhibition was. And this was featured on the catalog cover. And it was one of the favorites to sort of talk about in our tours, so we really thought it would be nice to try it for a mindful looking session. So I'm really pleased to see everyone's comments saying that it was a good choice for this, because we're never really quite sure what people are going to like to use to practice mindfulness or not. So it's obviously very personal, but you don't have to like the image to still practice mindfulness. So that's a really good thing to remember. And you would think too, we talked about this in the beginning, that you would want to choose something that was very simple or easy to follow and not too busy. But as Scott so knowledgeably pointed out, that busyness is part of mindfulness as well. Do you want to say something about that, Scott?
Oh, just, you said it very nicely that, right, we can't pick and choose our moments. Sometimes we can, at least for a little while, like you could pick or choose a painting, but that's only going to last so long. And you can pick and choose the person you hang out with, but that's only going to last so long. It's always changing. And so you said it so wonderfully, to be mindfully aware is not to have is not dependent on what it is that you are aware of. And sometimes what you're aware of is quite busy, and that can be agitating even. And to be present and to practice like this is in many ways to practice for those moments. where you can more naturally and spontaneously be there, even when it's busy, and find great joy and mystery even, and wonder in the busyness of life.
Thank you for that. Yes, I see a question about the image says it's 14¼ by 27¾ That's the entire 3 prints. From what I remember, they were quite small. So all together, that's the overall dimensions. And I see Anna's comment that she loved the right panel and that she put herself on the chaise and was enjoying the floral arrangement. She could feel a nice cool air conditioning and scented room. She loved the colors and combination of the patterns, although busy and soothing at the same time. And I see Martin has said so many Western influences in these settings. So yes, this is part of this time period in Japan where they had opened up the borders, so to speak, and there were Western influences. So you can see that they were in Western outfits. And so it's one of these really interesting glances back in time as well, and a blending of cultures, which is also interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Anna's observation is really one of savoring, right? To put oneself in the chaise lounge, to enjoy the floral arrangement, to feel the cool air, the scented room, the colors. Of course, and this is all in the imagination, inspired, of course, by our real world experience. And so this is in many ways a wonderful expression of what it is to savor, in this case, savor this image, to draw upon the imagination and a sustained engagement with the object, which is very much in the service of being more present, and this is important for some of the research on mindfulness, and not being lost somewhere else. One of the great joys and benefits of being present in a very simple sense is you're not somewhere else. It's not that you've acquired all this stuff to help you feel more at ease. You're not elsewhere where so much dis-ease emerges. And of course, the imagery here, well, probably we can all look in our home, probably just glance in the corner at a sofa or a bed, and we don't have to go far, if at all, anywhere, to have some of the ways that Jodi guided us at the beginning, to follow lines and patterns, to actually be something that we can explore during the day when we take a little break. And actually, everything we need is already here. But these are structured ways of cultivating greater mindful awareness. And this is a practice that we can do in many ways. And today's session was one that really, I think, for me, beautifully reminded me of just how available this is to us.
Yes, thanks for that, Scott. That's a great reminder for me when I try to, sometimes, especially now, feel busier than ever. And you just feel like there's not enough time to practice mindfulness, but you really only need a few minutes, even if you just pause and look over and notice a pattern and let yourself breathe in and out while you focus on that pattern for a few minutes. It's really helpful and a great reminder to practice on your own. So if anybody has any further questions or comments, you're welcome to put them in. If not, we hope to see you next Tuesday at 1.